A businessman promised his much younger wife $500,000 if she took care of him instead of getting him medical help. While he knew he was terminally ill, his assets were worth $1.5 million. And in exchange for $500,000, he wanted 24/7 care. She held up her end of the bargain. He did not. Now you might be like, Dr. K, what the hell are you talking about? In your page, you talk about work. This has to do with one of the unwritten rules of work, the unwritten rule of additional labor. I found this case study as an example while I was researching office housework. This is work that has to be done in the organization but is not assigned to anyone in particular, benefits the organization but not necessarily the person who does it. So it completely relies on volunteer labor, and certain groups end up doing it more than others. And the author in this HBR article from a decade ago gave the example of this couple from the 80s as an example of the additional labor that women are expected to do and how it's not monetized. Now, there's the argument that because they agreed to this arrangement, that this wasn't additional labor, this was a paid transaction. But why this woman was denied her money was because it was labor that she was assumed to do for free. The court said this is a wife's job, therefore she's not entitled to the money, and the prenup still stands, even though her husband made the agreement that if she was available 24/7 for him all the time, that she would get the cash. Now, there are many people who take care of their terminally ill relatives and spouses for no money. I understand that. And I would hope I would be one of those people if put in that situation. But we need to remember the context of this dynamic. This is a much older, wealthy man with a much younger wife. There were understandings, and this was a commitment he proposed. And she did this for a year, being available 24/7 for him. Also, look up how many men leave their wives when their wives get sick. And regardless of the state of your marriage, a lot of work in the US and other places relies on low wages or none, framed that it should be done out of love. And there's a great book on this called Work Won't Love You Back. I read it a couple years ago, on how when professions get shifted to be more women's work, they are framed as being more about love, and you should do it for love and not for compensation. Thus, teaching was a male-dominated field because women weren't allowed to go to university. Once it became woman-dominated, now it's low wages. You should care about the kids. A lot of care work and nonprofit work is treated the same way. But even outside of those fields in corporate America or other white-collar jobs, the additional labor of office housework, glue work, emotional labor is largely seen as not worth any money. But without it, the business doesn't function. My work has found that women, neurodivergent people, and people from low-income backgrounds did significantly more additional labor in their work environments across industries than other groups. Why do you think that is?